News Talk 640 WFNC. Right now it's about a 7-Eleven. It's a 7-Eleven, and we're lucky to have Greg Fishel on the line with us. Greg, how are you doing this morning?
Oh, hanging in there. How about you?
I'm doing all right. You know, we talked yesterday about this time, about this terrible storm that is going to be coming through, and we had some power outages, but not as bad as we thought. What
Oh,
changed?
not even close. There's sometimes you just have to you just have to admit that things didn't go the way you thought they were going to go, and it's the best science that we have at this particular point in time. And the thing about it is, there were 468 wind damage reports from Florida to Pennsylvania yesterday. And so if you look at it from that standpoint, you'd say, oh, well, that forecast turned out to be pretty good. But most of these reports were relatively minor, like a tree down here and there. There was only one tornado report in the entire United States yesterday, and that was in Charlotte. And so the tornado part of it clearly didn't turn out to be correct at all. And I think there are a couple of reasons for it. There was a lot of activity around yesterday morning, and it never allowed the atmosphere to heat up and become unstable. And it's little details like that that can make a big difference between a nuisance event and a major event. And we certainly, I would say, ended up more on the nuisance side than anything else.
Well, and you make an interesting point because people know I'm not a meteorologist, but I have played one on television. Isn't that right, Kenny?
Yes, you have.
Okay,
You have
so
played one.
but and so folks called me yesterday and said, Gilbert, what's going on? I mean, we don't see it. And the first thing I did when I stepped outside, and you just mentioned this, was I noticed a drop in the temperature. And I'm saying the atmosphere just does not have the energy that it needs to produce these storms. Is that attributed partial to the fact that we had rain that kind of came through the area?
Yeah, if you were to be able to interview a thunderstorm, the thunderstorm would tell you that it wants to be warm and moist near the ground, and then get cooler as you go up. And when it rains, then that cools the lower part of the atmosphere and makes it much more stable. And we had quite a bit of activity around yesterday morning, not necessarily thunderstorms, but showers, and that's really all it took. And then we thought that we'd get at least a little sunshine in the afternoon, and the concern was that if the main line came through late in the day, that would be time of maximum heating. And so we were going to maximize our potential at the very least for damaging straight line winds. And we just never got any sunshine, at least nothing to speak of.
Well, you're up in Wake County now, and where we thought the big boom was going to happen here in Cumberland County, there were 60,000 residents without power and a lot of trees down on the houses and apartments up in up in your area. Did you experience any of that around where you live near Fuquay?
No, I didn't. In fact.
All right, I'll get him right back.
Okay. So we're got Greg Fishel on the line, and part of the issue with these telephone calls, they drop out, but it's always good information. Greg Fishel, if you don't know, was a longtime meteorologist for WRAL, 30-some-odd years there. He moved down to Myrtle Beach and was broadcasting down there and doing some things down there. And now he's back in Wake County, back where he feels like he's at home. He knows this area fairly well. And, he utilizes the tools that he has in order to pinpoint forecasts for different areas. And we were able to get him on the line. We've got him back right now. And Greg, you were in the middle of telling us, I think I pushed the button here. I can't push the button.
Line 4, you can't get that? Okay, let me try.
I can't make it.
How's
there you
that?
go. Yeah, how about now? Greg, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you dropped off there for a second, but you were telling us about you moved back to Fuquay right now. So you're in Wake County, and we've had trees down on apartments and things like that. Did you experience anything of that nature?
No, in fact, when the line came through, like around dinner time, I knew that there were strong winds along that line, so I actually went outside with my phone and was, going to shoot a video of what I thought was going to be something fairly impressive, and it was anything but. I got wet, and I felt a little bit of a breeze in my face, but that was it. So my personal experience was far short of impressive.
Well, and I did the same thing yesterday because we did have the wind pickup down here as well. and then you're saying, "Oh, here we go." And we did get a, severe thunderstorm warning in Cumberland County late in the afternoon. I live over in the
Right.
Eastover area, so we did experience some of those things, but just the energy was just not there. And look, it sounds like we're upset, and,
Well, I know,
and we're not. But that I don't want to make that seem like, well, God, why are you beating this thing down? We didn't get damage, and that's a good thing. But I think it's also important to do like an after action report and kind of let folks understand why this one did not materialize to the extent that we thought it was, so that when you hear these reports, you still take them very seriously. And the next one that comes, it might be the one that you really needed to not let your guard down on.
Right, and again, we have to be honest about. We have learned so much just in the 47 years that I've been, in this business. We've learned so much about severe weather and what to look for, and the overall outlooks are much better than they used to be. But they're still not perfect. And my fear is that when you have a situation like this where it doesn't turn out to be, as bad as advertised, that people will then get complacent and say, "Oh, I've heard this before, and I'm not going to rearrange my life because of this, because it may not turn out." And then that's the time it does, and you're not prepared for it. So,
well, you've seen that when it comes to hurricanes, where people say, I set out the first Category 1 to Category 2. Category 3 is not that big a deal. I can sit at this one out, and that ends up being a pretty big mistake.
right. And, the one thing I've always said, Gilbert, and I would say that a lot of what I've learned about weather forecasting has been from the times that the forecast has not gone as advertised. And I think this is true in life and not just weather forecasting, but you have to care enough about and I hate to call it a mistake, because when you try your best, is it really a mistake? But you have to care enough about the error, if you will, to learn from it. Because if you just say, "Oh, well, I'm human, I'm going to make mistakes," and then you move on, you're going to make the same thing again. And so I think it's really important, just in life in general, to say, "Okay, why didn't it go the way I thought it was going to go? What can I learn from this so I don't make that same mistake again?"
Well, Greg, we always appreciate you doing what you do, and for most folks who don't realize this, you can see Greg now online thanks to the technology, and I always want to give you an opportunity to let folks know how they can see you and enjoy your forecast.
Well, I do have a Facebook page, which is sponsored by Blanton's Air Plumbing and Electric, and they are growing exponentially in the Triangle area. Their base is in Fayetteville, but they've expanded northward, and so I'm grateful for that relationship. And then I also do a podcast on the Patreon, patreon.com/fishweather, all one word. And I do videos Monday through Friday and over the weekend if conditions warrant, as they did last weekend. And it's $3 a month, so it's not a budget buster. And I'd love to have you give it a shot. And if you don't like it, it's easy to cancel, but I'd love to have you try it.
Well, Greg Fishel, my former colleague at WREL, longtime friend and golf buddy, and got a chance to play. As a matter of fact, we got a tournament Friday. I wish I'd have thought about that. We'd invite you down to play, but the team is set, and you will not get a WFNC T-shirt this time. But maybe, maybe next time. All right,
Next
Greg.
time.
That's right. Well, we got tournaments coming all along. We'll let you know how things develop. But if not a tournament, we'll get together and you and I'll go play and have some fun.
That sounds great, man. I've been seeing you.
All right, Greg Fishel there, former meteorologist for WREL, and now our consultant kind of guy. When we have weather that we need some answers to, Greg is on the line for us. You're listening to WFNC right now. We've got Fayetteville's most dependable forecast with CBS 17 meteorologist Matthew Huddleston.
After seeing showers and storms on Monday, a lot of sunshine is in store for your St. Patrick's Day, but highs just in the lower 50s despite all that sunshine. Increasing clouds after midnight, but a chilly low tomorrow morning back in the lower 30s, and more clouds tomorrow than today with a high around 50 degrees. That's your Fayetteville forecast. I'm CBS 17 meteorologist Matthew Huddleston.
All right, Matthew, thank you so much. 34 degrees right now. Fayetteville, Fort Bragg, and Spring Lake. You're listening to News Talk 640 with WFNC.
Proud to be your hometown news and information source for 4 decades. News Talk 640 WFNC. Stream on iHeart anytime.